Alright everyone, it's time for another video on the Democrats failing and how it's amusing to me. And number one, I would say just this. And this is for the Trump fans out there. Most of the people watching this video from within the United States will be more on the right. You will tend towards Trump support. Some of you are so far right you hate Trump, but, for the large part there's a lot of MAGA hat wearers here. You need to admit something to yourself. And it won't be easy to do, but you need to do it if you want to look at politics as they really are and not delude yourself. Understand this. Donald Trump is not a strong incumbent candidate. Just say it to yourself until you believe it, and I'll tell you why. It is true that he has done well on the economy. He's lowered taxes, he stripped the ACA's mandate, he helped solve the problems at the VA, he has done a little bit of shifting around within the budget. He's certainly saving us a lot of money on foreign expenditures by preventing us from getting into any more catastrophic wars. I don't deny that economically he's been a good president. The stock market's hitting record highs and unemployment record lows. On that metric, he's an A-plus president by any means. And he'd be recognized as a whiz kid economically. People would be saying like it's morning in America again, or like Clinton before the dot-com bubble burst. That sort of optimism would reign supreme right now if it weren't for negative coverage by the legacy media, which is literally 99% negative. But there's the problem. Because of domestic turmoil, which is promulgated by the legacy media and obstructionists, within the Democratic Party and some never-Trumpers mostly, not through any fault of his own, Trump has been kneecapped. In fact, if he were just an average president on the economy and other issues, he'd already be gone probably. They already would have successfully kicked him out. Could anybody else, under other circumstances, weather the torrent of negative coverage and propaganda Trump has been subjected to? No, probably not. The fact that he's Donald Trump is the only reason he's even in office right now. They would have impeached and removed him long ago. He would have been a lame duck. He would have been forced to resign. They would have said, we're just going to trump up a reason to get rid of you if you don't resign. And he would have. He'd be at sub-20 approval. He'd be worse than Jimmy Carter and George W. after Katrina combined if it weren't for his specific set of skills, especially that particular charisma he happens to have. This is dishonest. This is wrong. That is not the way that U.S. politics, under a utopian scenario anyway, is meant to work. But pragmatically, on the ground, realistically, it is. Perception trumps reality in politics because it involves people. It doesn't involve objectivity. When Warren sits there and lies to her fans' face and says that she intends to implement Medicaid for all or Medicare for all, whichever one she's calling it, she will not do that. If elected, she would not have the votes to pass it. She would put a Band-Aid on a gaping wound with Obamacare and call it a day. She'd give some subsidies to single mothers and inner-city communities, and that's all she would do. She can lie flat out and say, we can pay for this program, even though she knows damn well, because she's not that dumb, she knows she can't pay for it. Not without maybe abolishing the U.S. military or something. That would save enough money, I suppose, to pay for these plans. Other than that, she can't pay for them. Not without a 90% tax on everybody. It won't work. But she'll lie anyway because it sounds good to her brain-dead fans. And the legacy media comes out and lies constantly about Trump. On the economy, he has done a very good job. On foreign diplomacy, he has done a decent job. Look, he's gotten the ball rolling with North Korea in a way that no other president even attempted to do. There are still signs of life for peace in the Korean Peninsula. Give him a second term, he might even get a final peace treaty drawn up. That'd be one for the ages. He has attempted to promulgate peace throughout the Middle East. He's gotten some success at doing that, not monumental success, but it's better than the last two administrations on the issue. He's done a good job, but he's still a weak incumbent. Now, the fact that he's been subjected to years and years of nonstop propaganda targeting him and everyone associated with him on a level never before seen in world politics, that doesn't seem to matter because his opponents are all so weak, none of them can probably win against him. And this is going to be the funny part. When the 2020 election comes around, I believe Trump's likely to be reelected. In fact, I would say he's got a pretty good chance of winning more electoral votes in popular vote than last time. He may win the popular vote this time around because a bunch of Californians might be so demoralized they just stay home instead of realizing, hey, we can get 80% of the vote for the Dems in the state, but, I've got to sit at home and amputate my leg to be a trans cripple, so, I've got better things to... I got AIDS, so I got to pick at my sores right now. This is what, social justice warriors, they're not exactly the most intelligent people. Memes alone can probably prevent them from voting. People do weird shit like that. So keep this in mind. Donald Trump's not a popular incumbent. Under other circumstances, he would be. He'd be like a Reagan figure if it weren't for the nonstop negative press. But even though you have the negative press, part of this is because of the internet. Independent commentators are more fair, I think, than the so-called journos in the legacy media that are bought off by a bunch of foreign billionaires. But Donald Trump will probably win anyway. Look, go down through the list of people again. Let's do what we love doing here and berate the Democratic candidates, especially in the wake of their shitty debate performance that got widely panned because it's not really a debate at all. It's just a hug box. Joe Biden is incoherent. He is suffering from dementia. I don't care what way you want to put it. If you put him on a debate stage in front of Trump, he's going to get chewed up and spit out. He would not win. And he's one of the more viable candidates because he's Joe Biden, former VP. Ooh, he's got the chops there. Elizabeth Warren has lied so much, she can't even keep up with her own lies anymore. It'd be funny to see him really antagonize her on a debate stage so she starts sputtering incoherently. She'd start to sound a little bit like Joe now, wouldn't she? Then we have Bernie Sanders, who's running in third. His so-called revolution has dried up and fucking flown to the wind at this point. He's never been in first place. I don't think he's ever really been in a strong second place showing in the last few months. He's still third behind a woman who's crashing and burning in the polls, namely Elizabeth Warren, who peaked out at almost 30 and now has receded down to sub-20 levels. She's back in the upper teens. He's still in third place. Fucker had a heart attack. He's almost, what is he, I think he's 79 years old. Fucking crazy old coot, fucking socialist. He can't win. You affix the term socialist to a person and say, well, I'm a proud socialist. I want free ice cream for anyone. More than half the country still considers that a negative thing. If you want to piss every centrist in the country off that doesn't want more welfare, then you can't run Bernie Sanders. The problem is a lot of those people are working and middle-class voters. That's why they're more in the center. They're independent voters because both parties want to screw them and raise their taxes, usually. Hell, the independents of this country, do a little demographic study. Self-proclaimed independence, I bet there's a significant correlation between that and being in the solid middle class. I bet there's a real fucking connection between those two. Or being like, hyper-intelligentsia without actually having been indoctrinated. Maybe went to a foreign college or something like that. Buttigieg's dance says it all about his candidacy. And keep in mind, I think he's the most viable possible opponent. He's the most well-spoken. He looks good for the camera, so to speak. He's on the younger side. He's well-spoken. He's got that charisma. That's more important than the platform at this point. What platform? The Dems don't have one. Free shit is their platform, and orange man bad. And then that's the four viable candidates. Unless somebody else gets in, unless Hillary Clinton decides to throw her hat into the ring, that's basically it. One of those four will be nominated. It's not going to be Kamala. Oh, she had another good debate performance, did she? I look forward to her polling aggregate hitting 5 points before quickly receding down to its long-term average. She's already done for. She's barely staggering along and existing. She barely has a pulse within the campaigns. And come on, these primaries are hilarious. I can't wait for the general. Seeing who's going to run against Trump will be funny, and it will be Trump. Dude, impeachment's falling apart too, and there's the other part. The Democrats tried to spring a trap on Trump. Oh, we're going to impeach him and get him out of office altogether. It's not going to work. If anything, all this will do is raise turnout among Republicans to astronomical levels. Trump already has astronomical approval within the Republican Party. Because of the hyper-partisan climate, the one advantage he really has is that he has better than Reagan levels of support within his own party, which is why the other Republicans will not abandon him in the Senate. They're not going to commit political suicide to remove Trump from office when they think he's probably going to win in 2020. The Dems are demoralized. The Republicans are pretending to be demoralized. Some of these people are just good enough at strategy to put a glum face on. I can tell you that much. If I were Trump, I'd be chuckling. I would do a little bit less campaigning. I would push the USMCA thing. By the way, that's the other big thing. The Democrats right now are stalling out on doing anything meaningful. The USMCA as a replacement for NAFTA is a really popular idea. It's right up there with Trump, rejecting the TPP, which was another thing that he did that was very, very good and endeared him to a lot of people, refusing to sign that fucking monstrosity. The USMCA as a replacement for NAFTA is a great idea. It's got bipartisan support, but Pelosi says, well, we're not going to get to it this year. We're too busy impeaching the fucker. Yeah, we're too busy with impeachment to actually do something meaningful that could bring back manufacturing jobs to the U.S. This is going to go over well with the Rust Belt voters. Hey, Rust Belt voters, the Democrats are saying they don't have time for you. They don't have time to represent your economic interests and to try to remove some of the multinational influence from fucking over your industries within your small town communities. They don't have time for that. They're too busy wasting their time rambling about impeachment. When the Senate gets a hold of this, they're going to cut it up and shit it out. It's going to be hilarious. The Democrats will fail. He is not going to be removed from office. There is literally nothing legitimately impeachable so far in all of the testimony. The only difference is, of course, they don't really need anything. They can just drop whatever articles they want. Trump sneezed the wrong way. This is impeachable. We're impeaching him. Simple vote. Democrats can do it on their own in the House. They can impeach him. They probably will. Will it backfire? Oh, yes, I think so. I think it'll backfire spectacularly because support for impeachment was never as high as before they started the inquiries. It's fallen off since then. It's a lot less popular now. In some tracking services, it's about even with unpopularity. That is, that the number of people that support versus oppose are about even. Well, Trump's approval's never been close to dead even. He's always had a detriment that's in the double digits. You will increase his support if you impeach him. The Democrats will hand him his magic 47 that he needs to be reelected with, by the way, if they do that. It's going to be better than Christmas. I'm going to laugh all the way through this fucking election. That's about all. Peace out.